This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
It's the Noon Report from Family Life, bringing a Christian worldview to what's happening in New York, Pennsylvania, across the country, and around the world. Weather with Kevin Williams, plus special features and reports with the Family Life News team. Now, here's what's happening.
Lake flakes piling high in ski country. Good afternoon. Welcome to the broadcast. Yes, snow-weary residents of upstate New York and northwestern Pennsylvania are digging out after the first blast of wintry weather arrived back on Thanksgiving. That was 5 days ago, and in many spots, the snow still hasn't stopped. Forecaster Rob Marciano.
We're going to see on and off snow really for the rest of the week. The cold is here for just about everybody, and it's going to be sticking around for the next 5 to 10 days.
Here in hard-hit Erie, PA, folks are frustrated with the persistent and relentless lake effect event.
Started sometime on Friday morning, and it hasn't really stopped.
The snow being so deep and getting stuck, like you getting stuck everywhere you go, everybody getting stuck.
South of Watertown, New York, in the Tug Hill Plateau, there is literally 6 feet of snow on the ground. Al Roker with the Today Show says until the Great Lakes start to freeze, the lake flakes will continue to fly.
Basically, there's no ice cover to cut off the flow of moisture that as those winds come across the Great Lakes, they pick up that moisture, and then once they come back over the land, you can see it cools off and drops the snow.
Lake effect snow warnings continue through 7 tonight for Chautauqua and Cattaraugus counties in New York and Warren and McKean counties in Pennsylvania. A couple of President-elect Trump's cabinet picks are making the rounds on Capitol Hill today as they try and win over U.S. senators ahead of their upcoming confirmation hearings. Pam Bondi, the former Florida Attorney General, and Pete Hegseth, the ex-anchorman at Fox News, have been tapped to serve as the nation's Attorney General and Defense Secretary. Bondi is expected to have an easier time of it than Hegseth at winning confirmation. The White House continues to play defense after President Biden's controversial pardon of his son Hunter. The commander-in-chief issued that act of clemency on Sunday after months of insisting he would not. Legal scholar Jonathan Turley.
It's a sweeping pardon that we haven't seen really the likes of since Nixon. It's pretty unprecedented in that respect. You know, the Bidens have been notorious for nepotism and influence peddling. They are the goats of this favorite form of corruption, and this pardon really sealed that status.
Hunter Biden was scheduled to be sentenced later this month on weapons and tax charges. The U.S. Supreme Court is hearing oral arguments tomorrow on a Tennessee law that bans sex change operations on kids. That law was enacted to protect parental rights and prevent irreversible bodily mutilation on children. A decision on the constitutionality of that law is expected next summer. The Biden administration is sending another $725 million to Ukraine, including rockets, drones, and landmines. It's the largest cache of military hardware dispatched to the war zone since April. Missouri Senator Josh Hawley.
It is totally ridiculous. It's time for him to admit that his Ukraine policy has been a total disaster. It's in complete shambles.
Ukraine's president says the best way to end this war is to allow his country into NATO. Bad idea, says Senator Hawley.
This administration is already risking World War III by greenlighting the use of American weapons into Russian territory. What will happen if Moscow responds by sending a weapon into the territory of a NATO country? We'll all be at war. It is a recipe for constant conflict, including American soldiers' boots on the ground in Europe from now until forever.
President-elect Trump has vowed to wind down the war as soon as he takes office. Donald Trump will be traveling to Paris this Saturday. He's attending the reopening of the historic Notre Dame Cathedral. That 861-year-old church was damaged in a devastating fire 5 years ago. 50 world leaders expected to attend the invite-only ceremony. A congressional subcommittee has concluded its 2-year probe into the coronavirus pandemic.
Once again, it just reinforces what most Americans know, is that this didn't come from some bat in some wet market. Instead, it came from a lab that was funded by U.S. taxpayer dollars.
Former National Security Advisor John Elliott.
We lost old people who were in old folks' homes. They would not even be seen by their relatives as they passed away under this lockdown. And so nobody wants to see this happen again.
The 520-page report finds social distancing and masking were not backed by science. It also finds children lost decades worth of learning when schools shut down during COVID. First, there was Black Friday, then Small Business Saturday. After that, it was Cyber Monday, and today is Giving Tuesday. Many Christian charities and not-for-profits rely on the generosity displayed on Giving Tuesday to make their ends meet. Last year, over $3 billion was donated on Giving Tuesday. A new survey shows the hustle and bustle of the holiday season has prevented a lot of us from getting what we really want for Christmas: some alone time.
56% of Americans say time alone is vital to their mental health. That's according to a survey from The Ohio State University. 46% said they don't get the alone time they need during the holidays.
Jim Krasula reporting. Still to come on the Noon Report: Trees for Troops, Rocky Fest, and holiday weight gain.
Good afternoon. I'm Kevin Williams, calling for some more winter-like weather as we progress through the work week. I'll have forecast details coming up.
All right, Kevin, thank you. As mentioned at the top of the broadcast, the lake effect snow machine just won't stop. Downwind of Lakes Erie and Ontario, several feet of the white stuff caused a barn roof to collapse yesterday in Chautauqua County. 4 cows were killed. About 100 others were trapped 4 hours in Arkwright, not far from Cassadaga. The farm owner, Colleen Aldrich, tells WKBW.
It's going to be tough. We're trying to keep these ones fed, and obviously we have to find a place to move them to. It's definitely sad. The barn is totally destroyed. Just have to go day by day, I guess.
Aldrich says she is grateful for the help offered by fellow farmers in that area. New York State troopers stepped up during the winter storm to help out a woman in need of a heart transplant. She needed help getting to the hospital in Cleveland, Ohio. The 64-year-old woman and her husband were driving from Rochester to Cleveland when they became stranded on a highway in Chautauqua County.
The husband called state police to let them know his wife was using a battery-powered heart pump and needed help. Troopers located the couple with a utility vehicle and transported the woman away from the storm to an area airport to get to her heart transplant.
Casey Bortnick with Spectrum News. Another day of cleanup underway in Erie County, Pennsylvania. Still reeling from days of heavy lake effect snow. Erie County Executive Brenton Davis tells Jet TV they just got too much too fast.
The local systems can't handle the amount of snow as quickly as it comes. These events can change in a minute. If we'd have gotten 60 inches over 10 days, 6 inches a day is manageable. But when you got 60 inches in 6 hours, that's a totally different ball game.
Says residents need to be patient as overwhelmed snowplow operators work as fast as they can to make the roads passable again in Erie. Pennsylvania Congressman Glenn Thompson tells Family Life News that President Biden could save face with the American people by pardoning his successor, Donald Trump.
Given the fact that President Biden has met with President-elect Trump and that President Biden plans on attending the inauguration, it would be altogether fitting if he would consider just wiping the slate clean.
New York Governor Kathy Hochul could also pardon the incoming president for the felony conviction he received at his hush money trial in New York City. The minimum wage in New York's been on the rise for over a decade, and it's going up again in January. Here's Family Life's Sarah Harnish.
The living wage is scheduled to increase by 50 cents an hour on January 1st. That brings it to $16.50 an hour in New York City and $15.50 an hour for the rest of the state. It's a 3.3% increase for those living upstate, or about $20 a week. We're set for another 50-cent increase in 2026. Only California, Connecticut, Washington State, and Washington, D.C. have higher wages. Sarah Harnish, Family Life News.
Every year, thousands of Christmas trees are delivered to service members around the world through through Trees for Troops. Army Specialist Matthew Clark is a volunteer for that organization.
I can only imagine how hard it is for a service member to be away from their family during the holidays. As National Guard soldiers, we really truly live on that live here, serve here.
The New York National Guard assists every year in that Christmas tree giveaway.
Being able to give back to our service members and their families during this time is fantastic. And it's something that I would hope that someone would do for me if I was in that situation.
For 20 years, Elms Family Christmas Tree Farm in central New York has been a pickup location for Trees for Troops owner Garth Elm.
There's no way we were going to say no. And here we are 20 years later, we're actually having volunteers come back, helping us load the trees.
Elm says his farm donated 150 trees to Trees for Troops this year since 2005. Trees for Troops has delivered over 350,000 Christmas trees to members of the military overseas. Did you know the average American will pack on about 5 pounds between Thanksgiving and New Year's Day? Correspondent Bree Tennis has more on the holiday weight gain.
The New England Journal of Medicine says you probably gained about a pound over Thanksgiving, maybe 2 if you had extra pie, and most of that will fall off naturally if you dial down the holiday grazing. But with holiday parties coming, know that indulging isn't as bad as you think. Most studies show a 5-pound weight gain from Thanksgiving to New Year's Eve. Losing that bulge? That's next year's problem. I'm Bree Tennis.
Yeah, we'll worry about that next year. Thank you, Bree. Let's worry about sports next. It's the 2-minute drill on Family Life.
Good afternoon, I'm Randy Snavely. Bob pick sixes. Yeah, that's plural. They made the difference in last night's NFL game as the Denver Broncos had 2 of them in their 41-32 victory over the Cleveland Browns. Nick Benito and Jaquan McMillan had the TD interceptions, and Bo Nix threw for another one. Michael Burton and Javonte Williams both rushed for scores. Denver moves to 8-5 on the season, while the Browns slipped to 3-9. On the ice, the Blue Shirts got smacked around by New Jersey at the Garden. The Devils got a goal and 3 assists from Yester Bratt as they skated past the Rangers 5-1. Chris Kreider scored New York's only goal. The Rangers trending in the wrong direction currently, losing 6 of their last 7, and they have fallen to a record of 13-10-1. Only 2 other games played on the ice. The Maple Leafs took care of business with Chicago 4-1. Dallas edged Utah 2-1. On to the NBA. The Nets got walloped by the Bulls 128-102. Josh Giddey went for a triple-double, scoring 20 points, grabbing 13 boards, and handing out 11 assists. Nikola Vucevic led Chicago in scoring. He had 21 points and grabbed 10 boards. It was Brooklyn's 3rd straight loss. They are now 9-13 on the season. Elsewhere, the Hawks victorious over the Pelicans 124-112. The Celtics no trouble with Miami 108-89. And the T-Wolves dominated the Lakers 109-80. LeBron James struggled mightily in this one, scoring only 10 points on 4 of 16 shooting. LeBron has missed 19 straight three-point attempts. That is a look at sports.
All right, Randy, thank you very much. Still to come on the Noon Report, winter storm warning, presidential pardon, and cabinet picks making the rounds.
Welcome to Breakpoint, a daily look at an ever-changing culture through the lens of unchanging truth. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stone Street. Barbara Robinson's beloved short story, The Best Christmas Pageant Ever, is now on the big screen. In this classic tale, the Herdman siblings, a.k.a. the worst kids in the history of the world, not only discover, but also reveal to an entire church the true meaning of Christmas. It was originally published in 1972 as a short story in McCall's Magazine, and later as a book. The film adaptation is creative, it's fun, and it's true to the original story. Publishers Weekly called the book one of the best Christmas books ever. And one 7-year-old film critic I know quite well called the movie, and I quote, great. Abandoned by their father and left unsupervised by their mother, who works multiple jobs, the Herdman kids are known for wreaking havoc around town. They're notoriously, even comically bad. As the second line of the book says, quote, they lied and stole and smoked cigars, even the girls, and talked dirty and hit little kids and cussed their teachers and took the name of the Lord in vain and set fire to Fred Shoemaker's old broken down tool house, end quote. But when the Herdman children learn that the local church offers free snacks at Sunday school, they show up. And then, to the chagrin of all, they quote-unquote volunteer for the lead roles in the Christmas pageant. They take an unusual interest in this story, which, to the shock of so many in the church, they've never heard. As they hear the biblical account of Jesus' birth during rehearsal, they start seeing themselves in the characters. For example, like Mary and Joseph were turned away at the end. They too had been rejected. In the end, the Herdman's pageant performance is fumbly and chaotic. Wise men unsure of where to go, Mary desperately clinging to her child, angels scaring the shepherds. But the realness helps everyone see this eternal story with fresh eyes. As the play closes and tears roll down the eldest cigar-smoking Herdman girl's face, she's playing the role of Mary, all are reminded of the true meaning of Christmas. In the end, everyone agrees this was the best Christmas pageant ever. Robinson's heartwarming story beckons audiences of all ages, especially those of us maybe too familiar with the nativity story, to reconsider what God actually gave the world. After all, Jesus came for the sick, not the well. In a sense, we're all more like the Herdman crew than we cared to admit. As Paul said, all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. The new film adaptation of the best Christmas pageant ever has hit big at the box office, grossing about $25 million since it opened in early November. It's directed by Dallas Jenkins of the Chosen series, and the film features a wonderful cast of actors like Lauren Graham, of Gilmore Girls, and the comedian Pete Holmes. But just like in the book, it's the kids who steal the show. And as they steal the show, they confront us with the down-to-earth reality of the incarnation. Whether our sin more resembles the harsh judgmentalism of church folk or the rebellion of the Herdman kids, the gift God gave to the world on Christmas is for all of us. And whether you choose to read the book or watch the film or do both this Christmas season, you will not regret learning more about the Herdman's epic performance in the best Christmas pageant ever. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet with Breakpoint. Today's Breakpoint was co-authored by Jared Hayden. If you're a fan of Breakpoint, leave us a review wherever you download your podcast. And for more resources to live like a Christian today, visit us at breakpoint.org.
All right, John, thank you very much. Let's take this show outside next. Meteorologist Kevin Williams.
Here is your family life weather forecast. The call for this afternoon: clouds, mixed sunshine, couple of snow showers around, high temperatures in the 30s. Tonight, some clouds, low temps in the low 20s. Lake effect snow showers resume off Lake Erie overnight, couple 3 inches in parts of western New York. Tomorrow, turning out cloudy, increasingly windy, snow showers blowing snow, high temps in the 30s, and localized lake effect snow tomorrow night and Thursday. Otherwise, clouds, mixed sun, and a few flurries, gusty winds, and high temperatures in the upper 20s to the middle 30s.
All right, Kevin, thank you. This is the Noon Report on Family Life. I'm your host, Bob Price, and here's what's happening Tuesday, the 3rd day of December. Winter storm warnings are in effect through 7 tonight for Chautauqua and Cattaraugus counties in western New York, Warren and McKean counties in northwestern Pennsylvania, also covered by the snow emergency. The Weather Channel's Mike Seidel has the latest from Buffalo.
So far, 4.5 feet, and it's still coming down. There's a warning through Tuesday for at least another foot of snow. Up in Barnes Corners, New York, North Ontario picked up a whopping 5.5 feet of lake effect.
4 cows were killed yesterday. Another 100 got trapped when a barn collapsed under the weight of all that snow in the tiny town of Arkwright, New York. That's in Chautauqua County. Meteorologist Rob Marciano.
Chaotic scene inside this barn that's collapsed. We've got animals that are hurt, and now one of the firemen that was here to help clear the scene had something collapse on him, and he's hurt too.
8 miles away is the village of Cassadaga, which got 54 inches of snow, another 6 to 12 expected today. And on top of that, we've got an Alberta Clipper system arriving tomorrow that could cause some widespread power problems. A couple of President-elect Donald Trump's cabinet picks are making the rounds on Capitol Hill today.
Pam Bondi, the former Florida AG, now up for the top job at the Justice Department, she seems likely to have a fairly easy path to confirmation. That's not the case for Pete Hegseth, Trump's selection for Secretary of Defense.
Correspondent Garrett Hake says questions about Hegseth's character could sink his nomination. President Biden's full and unconditional pardon of his son Hunter continues to send shockwaves on Capitol Hill.
As a member of Congress, I'm pretty angry because it's going to be incredibly important that political leaders of both parties stand up for the independence of the Department of Justice.
It is discouraging that he has now gone back on his word on that.
For months, the president insisted he would not pardon Hunter Biden, but that all changed Sunday when he did. Alabama Senator Tommy Tuberville.
If it was my son, I'd pardon him too. But here's what I didn't like. Don't lie to us. Don't tell us you're not going to do it and then do it.
Arkansas Republican Tom Cotton.
Joe Biden, for 50 years in public office, has always pridefully boasted about his word as a Biden. And I guess we now know that his word as a Biden is trash.
Outgoing West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin has no problem with the presidential pardon, but suggests to the commander-in-chief,
why don't you go ahead and pardon Donald Trump for all his charges and make it, it had gone down a lot more balanced.
Former Trump attorney David Schoen says Biden's bailout of his son may backfire.
A broad pardon like this removes the Fifth Amendment right for Hunter Biden. So I would expect you'd see a subpoena potentially from the House or the Senate to inquire about Ukraine activities and all of that sort of thing. Remember, this covers an 11-year period.
Schoen says questions about the Biden family business dealings with enemies of America have remained unanswered for too long. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is blasting Donald Trump's plans to impose a 25% tariff on products coming into this country from our neighbor to the north. Pete Ducey with Fox News.
When Trudeau told President-elect Trump that new tariffs would kill the Canadian economy, Trump joked to him that if Canada can't survive without ripping off the U.S. to the tune of $100 billion a year, then maybe Canada should become the 51st state and Trudeau could become its governor.
Ducey reports that Trudeau gave a nervous laugh to the Trump joke. The Canadian Prime Minister met with Trump last Friday at his Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida. 130,000 Chevy and GMC trucks facing a recall today over concerns the tailgate may unlatch unexpectedly.
GM has had 237 complaints of those tailgates opening on their own while the vehicle was parked. It turns out water can get into the electronic gate release and cause a short circuit.
Auto expert Jeff Gilbert says the recall affects certain 2024 Chevy Silverado heavy-duty trucks and GMC Sierra heavy-duty trucks. In southern Illinois yesterday, a pregnant woman called 911 after her car would not stop. Cops put themselves in harm's way to prevent the runaway vehicle from running into a lake.
My car won't stop. My brakes aren't working.
A panicked 911 call.
I'm 20 weeks pregnant. I cannot die today.
Turn right at the next road, okay?
I can't stop.
If you don't turn, you're going to go into a lake.
Deputies jumped into action on a dark rural road southeast of St. Louis.
Their brake lights were illuminating, and she was not slowing down.
Deputy Tyler Coffey was driving right behind her.
Once I got in front of her vehicle, slowed down.
I'm going to hit the cop. I'm going to hit him.
And then her bumpers met mine, and slowly we came to a stop.
I didn't mean to. I swear.
They know. Hey, ma'am, it's okay. They know.
The driver and her dog, who was in the car, were both unharmed. and deputies say there was very little damage to either car.
What a wild scene there in Illinois. That's reporter Elise Preston. Well, yesterday we told you that Bible sales are through the roof, up more than 20% from last year.
When you have so much hopelessness and chaos, it tends to push people toward the truth. And so I think that's why we're seeing this 22%. I mean, that is a huge increase, this 22% growth in Bible sales.
That's Billy Hallowell with the Christian Broadcasting Network.
I think it actually underscores the importance to speak to people about the gospel, right? Yeah. Because if there's this natural curiosity and people are flocking out to buy Bibles, we need to be filling in the blanks and helping them understand what it is they're reading in this book that they've gone out to get.
He thinks celebrity influencers bragging on the Bible is helping fuel Bible sales.
You've got influencers on YouTube and TikTok and other platforms who are sharing their beliefs. And so all of this could be helping push younger people in particular toward the Bible.
Bible sales have leapt nearly 50% the past 5 years. You're tuned into the Noon Report for Tuesday on Family Life.
Welcome back to another edition of Hometown Heroes on Family Life. I'm Mark Webster, and this is part 3 of our conversation with Central American missionaries Peter and Tyann Jurka as they look back on over 30 years of miracles serving in Honduras. That includes starting a school called the Honors Academy.
Honors Academy we started because so we had the building and we had our paperwork through the government, and they gave us our first 11 or 12 children.
12, and then we added to it.
Till altogether it was 21. We had these kids, and we had a couple who were coming to take care of them. We had it all prepared. They spoke some Spanish, and everything was all set. After 2 weeks of taking care of the children, they said, no, we can't do this. We're leaving.
It's just too much for them.
Yeah. Well, Tara and John had a little baby, our oldest blood granddaughter, Gracie, and she was only like 5 months old. They had only been married less than 2 years, had this 5-month-old baby, but they were living and working in our ministry and living in the apartment upstairs in an empty building. Then all these kids came in with this couple, and they left, and they said, okay, we can't leave these kids alone. We'll take care of them till January. Will you get somebody by January? We said, yeah, we'll look for someone. Well, after a few weeks, they fell in love with the kids, and they said, God told us to raise them. We're going to raise them all. So they ended up raising all the kids.
So, we got these kids in, and I said, well, this is great. This is going to be fun and easy. We're going to take care of the kids. Had no idea what was involved in taking care of 21 kids. First of all, we didn't have the finances. And then one thing we overlooked, you take Pampers.
These are all babies in diapers.
21 kids.
It's a lot of Pampers.
Needing Pampers changes.
They were all sick when we got them.
It was 100 Pampers a day. So times 30 days, it's 3,000 Pampers a month. I said, what are we going to do? And in this country, Pampers are very expensive. Yes. I said, we can't afford this. So I remember someone on a phone, we were talking about the expense of this, and several weeks after mentioning, he said, guess what? I contacted a company that has 6 pallets of Pampers for you. I said, you got to be kidding.
Buffalo.
In Buffalo. So he shipped them down there, and we had, Pampers take us through those Pamper stages.
Literally, and he said baby beds and baby cups and baby bottles. We had enough to take care of them the whole time.
And that's kind of like how every step along the way,
it's been,
when we're obedient to what God calls us, the provisions flow. And that's how it seems it happens.
We've been blessed.
You've seen this over and over and over.
Yeah, we really have.
Talk to me, your spiritual growth through this decade of just trusting and trusting and trusting.
Well, our faith was strong when we started. It had to be to drive from Buffalo, New York, all the way down and not even speak Spanish. But it's grown as our love for Jesus has grown, and as we've had to depend on him through so many things. We've been through multiple situations, as everyone has. Just raising all these kids was such a chore for my daughter and son-in-law and we as grandparents, but just trusting him. Okay, God, you got this. You have this. I can't do this on my own. From the beginning, we knew we couldn't do it. And when something would come along, and giving Peter the supernatural ability to build all of this, He wasn't a builder before we came, but God helped him to build the school, the church, which became the school, a home for teachers and teams and for all these kids. It was supernatural from God. So it's learning that Jesus never fails. When he speaks to you, you just step out in faith and believe him. And the more you believe for, the more he gives and the more he does. So we can say, well, once I see all of this, God, I'll do it. Or we can say, you spoke, I'm going to do it. I don't see it, but I'm going to trust you. And we can say from this end of the deal, it works. It does work.
When I've gone through some hard times, it's almost like I'm reminded a lot of times of a certain situation. You know, they seem so small now. When I was faced with mountain things that I thought I'll never be able to walk, and I said, well, what do I do here? And God reminds me, wasn't I with you? Didn't I heal you? Didn't I walk with you and make those provisions and heal your body? And didn't I speak those words to you when doubt came and the enemy? And you just kind of laugh, and you have to say, I rebuke you, Satan, and continue. I mean, we're going to have negative thoughts constantly going in, but if we follow through in what we believe God has called us to do, he'll make the provisions, he'll give you the peace, and it just happens, and walk you through it.
We look back and we forget, and we're like, God did it, It's an amazing thing.
Area natives Peter and Tyann Jurka, longtime missionaries to Central America, currently serving the people of Honduras. Please join us again next time as we search for your home, your town, your hero. It's Hometown Heroes on Family Life.
Great work, Mark. As always, thank you. Hometown Heroes comes your way every Tuesday during the Noon Report or online anytime, familylife.org.
Good afternoon. Here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. An Alberta Clipper spells another round of winter weather for the area. Southwest winds ahead of it, and the northwest winds behind it will shift lake effect snow bands across the snowbelt areas of our region, producing scattered flurries and snow showers and gusty winds otherwise and elsewhere. The call for this afternoon, clouds, mixed sunshine, couple of snow showers around, high temperatures in the 30s. Tonight, some clouds, low temps in the low 20s. Lake effect snow showers resume off Lake Erie overnight, couple 3 inches in parts of western New York. For tomorrow, turning out cloudy, increasingly windy, snow showers blowing snow, high temps in the 30s, and localized lake effect snow tomorrow night and Thursday. Otherwise, outside of lake effect on Thursday, clouds, mixed sun, and a few flurries, gusty winds, and high temperatures in the upper 20s to the middle 30s.
All right, thank you very much, Kevin Williams, keeping us in the know from the Weather Center today. And finally at noon, yeah, that sound can mean only one thing. Rocky Fest. It's underway in Philadelphia. Where else? That 6-day event celebrates the Rocky movie franchise. Catherine Lavelle runs the Philadelphia Visitor Center.
We have Rocky date nights at the Penn Rink and the zoo where Rocky and Adrian had their dates. You'll go to Mick's Gym. You'll go to Rocky and Adrian's first home. You'll go to the Laurel Hill Cemetery where you can see Adrian and Polly's graves.
Celebrating all things Rocky. Rocky Fest runs through Sunday in Philadelphia. And that's our world, the world we live in. Tuesday, December 3rd. I'm Bob Price. Family Life News.
You've been listening to the Noon Report, heard weekdays on Family Life. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.